Okay, hello everybody. Let me get this message out as soon as it shows up. But anyways, as I wait for that to respond, today is June 4th, 2021, and I am Marianne Cardinier, and Lionel Francis unfortunately can't be with us today, but his presence, his wisdom hopefully will come through for us too. And this is Coffee Break Insights. So the content of all episodes are our opinion and should not be construed as anything else. This content is protected by copyright, and you may not use this content in any way, shape, or form without written permission. So thanks for that. So, okay, my message still, there we go. Okay, so the topic today is holding steady. And this came up because last Saturday on our Pure Life Infusions series, it was really interesting what happened because the whole group went through this very dark space, and dark as when there is nothing, and there's just the void showing up. And it just went on and on and on and was very long. So it was kind of like going through the dark side of the moon. And we really is the piece with that was this needing to hold steady as we're going through this darkness, as we're going through this time of not knowing what's going on. And in that session was particularly just going through darkness. It was dark all around. There was nothing to really feel, to really have a sense of. And it's been really tough lately. There's been a lot of weird stuff that's been happening. Weird in the sense that it feels like, on one hand, feels like time has stopped, and on the other hand, it feels like things are everywhere and all over the place. And so, what do we do about that? So it's sort of like sometimes we go through these doldrums where nothing is happening, and other times it's the total opposite, where it feels like it's chaos all around. And for those of us who are really sensitive, it's happening at this non-physical level, and so we become aware of what we're seeing there, what we're sensing, and around us, and it's feeling this stuff and feeling kind of taken over by the stuff. And in those moments, it's really important to realize that there's in both cases we need to hold steady for ourselves and come into that place of just holding and being strong. And it's really hard. Sometimes it's really hard, especially when you're sensitive to this non physical stuff of feeling it all around and swirling and taking you over. And so there's a lot of things that we need to that we can do for ourselves with that. So if you're watching and if you have any comments on that, feel free to post in and share your thoughts. But sometimes we need to really face what we're facing and see that and look at it without responding to it, without reacting to that. And that can be really hard. And sometimes there's just this need to have some kind of a reaction. And there's a lot of things that we can do with that. So we can either, some things, some of the tools that I've used, for example, is drawing. So freeform, kind of a freeform expression, whether it's through drawing or through just journaling, a stream of consciousness journaling of just letting it all out, and just expressing this tension that we're feeling as we're surrounded, engulfed by something else that seems to want to push us in all sorts of directions. So that's one thing to do, and it might feel like, okay, you're getting taken over by something, but at the core level, what that's helping you do is to hold that steadiness for yourself, and I get totally pulled away and sway. Um, and Bafna says, "Hi, I've been doing journaling as well." Yes, so that's a really good tool to use, and there's a lot of different tools, and for so if you have anything that you have been using that you find is really helpful for going through those periods and holding steady, um, then feel free to share, because we all have kind of different tools, so different things will work for different people, and so it's something to know for yourself. It's like, okay, this tool, and it's good to have multiple tools, because there's different times where we will need different things. Uh, Another good thing that I think is important to kind of make note for yourself is what areas of your life are more challenging for you to hold that steadiness in. Uh, is it work? Is it home? Is it with the kids? Is it this particular situation? Is it when the dishes are just all over the place? You come home from work and everybody in the family has left the dishes all over, and holding steady with that. So Bhavna says, walking really helps with me as well to release that nervous energy. Yes, and so that buildup. So that nervous energy. I'm glad you said that, because it's about that piece of there's this buildup that can happen when, and in both cases, I found that in both cases, whether it's the doldrums, like nothing is happening, no matter what you try, and nothing is happening, and you kind of feel like you're sitting in this stillness, or if there's just this chaos swirling all around. Uh, so movement is really nice. It could be yoga, it could be walking, getting out of the house. Sometimes you just need to take a break, um, and so working with that. Um, uh, One of the things to not do that will not help you hold steady, I think, is kind of saying, I messed up. You try something and then you mess up. Michelle says, I need to go outdoors after work more. Yeah, so that's really good. So if you can take some time when you get off of work and go outdoors. I'm really lucky, as you can see. It's right here, accessible for me. So that's really helpful. Um, and and sometimes it's like, okay, you think you're doing the right thing, you think you're helping yourself hold steady, and then you don't. So, uh, unfortunately, usually we figure that one out post facto, when we've done something, when we've acted in some way, and we're like, oh, okay, that wasn't really the best thing. So learn to be patient with yourself and hold steady, even in that awareness for yourself of coming into that alignment. And it's like, okay, look back at it and say, okay, next time, here's a better way I could have handled it, instead of saying, shit, I fucked up, or whatever, and beating yourself up for it, because sometimes we have to take certain actions to rectify a situation. If you come home, the dishes are constantly left behind by everybody else dirty, then you might need to say something and have a little blow up. And maybe there's a better way to handle it than just blow up about the dirty dishes. But sit back, take it easy on yourself, and the best thing to do is look over, contemplate. It's like, well, okay, how could I have done this differently? And even if like in that scenario, family, sitting down with the family, it's like, how can we do this? How can we do this differently? In sharing with that, and being able to come into a space where everybody can share, will help everybody to hold more steadily in turmoil, because it makes it acceptable to, okay, I'm off here, and we're off here, I'm this place, I'm that place, how can we do this better? and to share that. So any other any if you yeah so walking time outdoors, journaling, um, and any areas, if you have any particular comments about noticing that you have certain areas where it's a little harder for you to hold steady than in others, and also certain times, when right now it's been really challenging, and so there's been the whole COVID situation, but there's been also this buildup, and there's been this shift in consciousness that we're in the process of going through. And so there's been, even if we have gone through it pretty well for ourselves, it's all around us. Not everybody's been able to go through it very well. My hair is falling now, and that's giving me anxiety. Or maybe it's the anxiety that's causing your hair to fall out. Also, that could be, and so you're noticing the anxiety because your hair is falling out, and so it's making you more anxious. But yeah, hair falling out can be due to a lot of things. So health. So that brings up the whole comment of health. And when we have things that come up in our physical bodies, especially when we're used to being pretty healthy most of the time, and something comes up, or we're used to certain symptoms, and something else comes up, it's like, I've never experienced that. It's like, oh no, what is that? And then the mind starts going on and on and on about all these different things that it can be. So taking a deep breath in, So here's another tool. Using the breath to come into that center. And sometimes you have to make yourself count your breath. In breath, holding, the out breath, holding. So there's a lot of different rhythms to do that. And if you look online on, breathing sequences for brain states, so alpha, if you're having a difficult time holding steady, then it's very likely that you're in beta, in the beta mode in the head, which is the really thinking and the over processing, and so there is breathing sequencing that you can do to shift the brain waves to something that's more conducive to holding steady. So that's another little thing to do. Again, sometimes we don't find it in the moment to do what we need to do for ourselves, and sometimes there's a buildup, and the buildup can be, that there's something within us that's in the process of releasing, and it just, next thing we know, we've done something, we've said something. It's like, okay, that could have been handled better, and so the journaling comes into that, releasing what's happening inside. So the response to that doldrums or that turmoil, that chaos on the outside. So, and any other thoughts coming in from the audience here? I'll just wait a few moments to see if there's anything else that comes through. But bottom line is taking care of yourself and being patient with yourself, and being patient with whatever comes up. Taking a shower always helps with releasing a buildup and centering. Yeah, so that can be a nice one. That kind of, it's that tactile information that you're paying attention to, and then takes the mind off, because usually the holding steady comes from here. Not being able to do so comes from here, and thinking and processing too much. So that's a nice one. Or taking a bath, taking some, and I like the shower as opposed to the bath where you're just sitting. I mean, that can help relaxing, but there's something with the shower also that's this added tactile impressions from the water dripping down, falling down on. So that's a nice one. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Any other comments there? Waterfalls. Yes, going to the water, so Matthew, I think I believe is in Hawaii. So waterfalls, yeah, the shower, the waterfalls. So and so that's a good, nice combination of being in nature, and if you're standing under the waterfall and having that pressure that from the water, um, totally with the tactile part, yeah. So that coming and when you do those, an extra piece with that is coming into that core alignment for yourself and feeling that as you're taking your shower, as you're walking through nature, is holding that awareness of that center line. So it's sort of like that center spoke that you have within yourself and you always have, regardless of what's happening. And everything else could be swirling around. Even internally, you could be swirling around. But if you go deep down at that core, and maybe we can all just kind of feel into that right now, and come just is that center line. Just imagine the straight line going straight down, and you know, just hold the image of a line in your mind. And just imagine that that's the line that's going through you, all the way through to hold you steady. And just taking a deep breath in so you can hold that with whatever you're doing to help anchor yourself in a little bit. And then again, you know, sometimes we get thrown off because there's so much coming up, and you let it go and you come back to that centeredness for yourself and holding steady. So okay guys, well that's about it for our coffee breaks today, and hope that's useful for you. And if you have any thoughts on topics that you would like covered, you know, feel free to comment on the post here. And YouTube, you know, YouTube doesn't seem to show those comments. So if you're on YouTube, I don't know if I haven't been able to pull up the live comments afterwards on YouTube, but on Facebook I can. So feel free to, or if email them in, and until next time. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. And if not, we'll just see you in the ethers.